Welcome back to the Science of Adventure. I'm Brian McComb. So in part one of these MRE videos, I showed off my tiny MRE supply meant to last for the next 3 days. But before I go over these next 3 days of testing, maybe I should explain just the point of an MRE. For a wildland firefighter on the fire line, daily meals can be fickle. The suddenness of a blaze, the remoteness of an area, or the immediate availability of supplies and manpower can easily decide the difference between a fresh cooked meal and a warmed up pouch of preserved stew. Regardless of the situation though, an army travels on its stomach, and having enough daily calories is essential for performing long hours of demanding labor. Enter the MRE. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term, MRE is an initialism for meal ready to eat. And at its core, an MRE is a self-contained individual field ration stored in a lightweight waterproof package, originally designed for the United States Department of Defense and its service members to use in combat or any other field condition where organized food facilities aren't immediately available. And although there are numerous MRE menu options and even some less official versions of MREs on the market, speaking in broad strokes, an MRE is essentially a single meal consisting of a wide array of components that include a complete meal main course, some additional form of bread and spread, a separate crunchy snack, and a sugary dessert. A couple of powdered sweet drinks are also thrown in the mix, plus various condiments and a heating element, which I'll actually cover that a little bit later. And if that sounds like a lot to include in just one meal, that's because it is. Each MRE is compiled with a stressful, hard day's work in mind, and when fully consumed, a single one of these field ration bags can contain as many as 1,500 calories. But before we go any further, let's be sure that everyone here knows just what a calorie is. A calorie is a unit of energy, not a measure of weight or nutrient density in food. And this is why an ounce of chocolate chips can have nearly 3 times the calorie content of an entire head of lettuce. And subsequently, this is one reason it can be difficult to easily track the calories we consume throughout the day. And to make things even more convoluted, here in the US, a food menu contains capital C calories, and those are different in chemistry than lowercase c calories. A capital C calorie, actually known as a kilocalorie in chemistry, is the equivalent of the amount of heat it takes to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So let's talk food calories first. To measure the amount of calories stored in a specific volume of certain foodstuffs, scientists use a device called a bomb calorimeter. A bomb calorimeter is a device used to measure the caloric energy of a weighed mass of something by burning it. And the device consists of a small cup to contain the sample, oxygen, a stainless steel bomb container, water, and an insulating container with some sort of ignition source for the bomb. When loaded with a single sample, typically about 1 gram, the bomb is pressurized with excess pure oxygen and a small amount of water to make sure the environment is saturated and no more vaporization can occur. The bomb is then submerged under a known volume of water, and the entire experiment is sealed, and then the sample is ignited. Once ignited, the combustion of the sample releases energy, and the heat flow from this raises the temperature of the steel bomb and the surrounding water. The temperature change in the water is then accurately measured in joules, and this reading is then used to calculate the energy level given out by the burnt sample, represented in kcals, or capital C calories. But because we can't actually absorb all the calories in food, these readings from measuring the energy of individual components of a food are then weighed against the ratio of fat and carbohydrates and protein in a food. However, knowing the calories we're eating doesn't tell us how many calories we're using, so other methods have been developed to calculate the calories that a body is burning. Indirect calorimetry is the most common way to measure calories burned, especially in an exercise test, and it's done by using some form of a respirometer to measure how much CO2 you produce by analyzing the gases you are breathing in and out. This method works moderately well, as almost all CO2 that you exhale is a result of your metabolism. When your body burns fuel, such as carbs, proteins, or fats, it converts those fuels into CO2 and H2O molecules, utilizing the energy that comes from creating these chemical bonds and taking that energy to power your cells. So if you measure the concentration of CO2 in a subject's expelled air and compare that to the amount of O2 he or she is consuming, you can approximately calculate the amount of calories being burned overall. Then if you weigh this against the subject's resting energy expenditure, you can estimate how many calories are being burned during an entire certain activity. But I'll go ahead and jump in and cut myself off here on all this science, because science can always get more specific. And of course, we can always talk about the respiratory quotient of things and get way too far into the weeds again. But instead, how about let's get to it? I'll try out 3 MREs over the course of 3 days, limiting my calories, and we'll go all the way through it.